Welcome to another episode of Searching for MacGuffin with your host, George.
Dan. Sorry, I had to make sure to get the
Gabe.
second spot. Oh, there you go.
No, it's okay.
Gabe, are you
My
trying to
name
time
isn't
it
important.
with? Are you trying to time it with your lag? Gabe.
No, because Dan went super fast. He was like, Dan.
Yeah, he dragged it out the last time when he was last, and now he's
I had to get the second slot.
okay. He took a shot. He saw it. He saw the opening.
Mm-hmm.
He ran. He ran it. He inserted the cartridge. So we're back now after our return episode last week. And if you're wondering why there was a return episode after having two regular episodes, that's too bad. We don't really know. But we did return back from our hiatus. And we kind of talked last week about our personal hardships, some of our professional challenges that has been keeping us away. But we're here to kind of tackle where we've been, what we're doing, and where we're headed. So again, we're talking about a little personal. We're gonna go a little. We went from the micro, and we're gonna go a little to the macro, and kind of what our environment has been like the past several weeks and months. And I don't really know how to kind of dip your toe into that one.
The state of the world affects the state of our minds.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I think whether it's economy, whether it's politics, whether it's I don't know. I mean, I guess that sums it up. But there's just a lot of factors outside of ourselves. I mean, I guess society, culture, those kind of things. They're ever flowing, ever changing, and sometimes those changes can be rapid and they can be jarring. I think for us.
Yeah, and I think in multiple aspects of our lives, like you said, socially, it also affect you mentally. Also, one thing I think is becoming more apparent is our media consumption is being affected with certain things going on in the world. So I think it's important to talk about. Something that can't be ignored any longer, no matter how much we try to put it off.
Yeah, I think sometimes we look at media and this art form, whether it's videos, graphic novels, animation, whatever it is that we're talking about, gaming, as kind of escapes from our everyday life. And I know that's probably its biggest use, its biggest consumer use at least, which is just recreation, a break from the day to day. But here on the show, and I think in our lives, we try to look at it a little more I don't know, existentially or meaningfully, and seeing the stories that it tells us about our lives. And the thing about that is that we look at art as a reflection of our reality, and then our reality seeps in. Especially now, when I think back in the day, now I'm on my boomer pulpit, but back in the day, it used to take a while before we would like hear a story or address an issue, and we're being like bombarded daily with everything that's going on in the world, good and bad, moment to moment.
Yeah. Twitter was the last.
The Last of Us, or I think Gabe we might have lost Gabe for a second there. Dan, any thoughts on that?
Twitter sucks. So I had to delete Twitter because there was a lot of that, a lot of the doom posting. Everyone, it just felt like one collective pool of the worst feelings in society. And then you're constantly getting hammered with news article after news article of everything bad in the world. And honestly, I don't think us humans are meant to see so much negative global news back to back to back to back to back, because unfortunately that stuff really sticks with us. I mean, not much we can do other than start deleting these things.
Yeah. Why do you think so much of the discourse and narratives seem to take on a negative outlook or perspective?
I hate to say that's the nature of the internet, but that's what gets traction. That's the business in the internet. Negativity gets engagement. People are trying to get paid. So you're seeing negativity on the news, on posts, on social media, everywhere, because that's what gets likes, that's what gets comments. People want to argue on the internet, and it can be, although not in the moment, it can be mentally debilitating later on. It's horrible.
Yeah, I think it creeps in on you too because you, like you said, not in the moment. You feel fine day to day, and you fall into those routines, but then eventually you reach a breaking point, and it's hard to see that point coming. Gabe, I know you wanted to make a point before.
I don't think so.
Oh no, okay. So Dan kind of jumped in and took. You're mentioning.
He kind of,
you're
yeah,
mentioning.
he kind of, summed it up. I think it's a lot. It's a lot overwhelming. And before, like, you're fighting Snyder cultists and, Nintendo apologists. It's just, it can't. I remember the times where I'm reading things and I'm getting frustrated.
That word was
Who doesn't
frustrated.
agree with me, and
He doesn't agree with you. That's true.
Dang it.
I think Gabriel's
for
having some.
no reason. Oh, am I still having technical difficulties?
Oh,
Unfortunately.
you're back now.
See, I blame the state of the world as the state of my internet connection.
Yeah, it's a
Um,
reflection of like why aren't our utilities up to
They're
the
trying
standard
to
of
they're
a
trying to
civilized
stop
society.
you from talking. This is a
Yeah.
targeted attack.
You're being censored. I mean, he
Yeah,
is
you
in
are being
Texas.
They took him
And
out.
he's gone.
They took him out.
Oh, I think I saw a sniper. What is that? Light signal?
Yeah, a
What
little
do you call
laser
it?
on his chest.
Yeah, the little laser. Yeah, right before. Oh, he's back. Okay.
Suicide. Two
yeah,
shots
well,
to
I
the
mean,
head.
this is the reality. It's the reality of what's going on. I think there's a literal disconnect, um, and a figurative one. I think in the world around us. But to me, it's just I valued more of my peace, and I think I just needed a break. I'll probably go back to it because I do feel like there are things that I enjoy, like news that I enjoy receiving that I don't um, necessarily know of or have people sending me things. That way to connect um, is kind of just on hold right now.
Yeah.
But it's something that because of the way that this year has started and where my mental has been, it's just I think it's something that's necessary and until a point where I can come back and be like, okay, I'm good now. But I think a break is needed every once in a while. Um, there's just a lot of things going on, man. Every day it's something new, and yeah, I think the turmoil that's happening on the outside, I think, is also reflecting, and maybe there's a causality there too, with what we feel on the inside. I know that we've had beginning to the year, so yeah.
Yeah. You mentioned the beginning of the year. It's hard to ignore the political divide that's been going on, and politics is something we kind of try to avoid talking about. But it isn't about political parties. It's about seeing that there's clearly a division within the people leading up to the election. Now with the nomination of the president, and then how certain people feel about the policies that are enacted, and then how it affects both our everyday personal life. I know me, especially here living in South Florida, in education. It's you can't ignore it. It literally changes your day to day. And when we talk about like consumer goods and art and stocks, because at the end of the day, like we love the art of media, but most of it is joined by giant corporations that the bottom line is really what their goal is, and that's affected by fluctuations in the economy, etc.
Ow.
For
I'm
the
sorry
for
about it too.
yeah, gave a lot of pain
Oh,
about
I
the
this
move.
it's the thing. My internet connection's terrible over here. My seat choice is terrible. I'm in a standard flat chair that I'm pretty sure I have like a bruised coccyx slash tailbone at this point that it hurts when I stand up or move. Um, it's
Cossack?
just Cossacks, not the Cossacks,
Oh,
not the Eastern Europeans. Speaking of Eastern Europe,
I
that's
was
something
really waiting for that transition. Yeah, let's.
I'm not pushing into that. Never mind.
Oh, okay, okay.
That's too
So we're gonna
political.
avoid that. So Gabe mentioned like kind of cycling out. Dan, I think you're more in a cut
Oh no,
completely,
yeah.
right?
My social media break and removal has is mostly permanent. I don't think I'll ever go back to Twitter, at least as a regular user. I'm sorry, X, because we're still calling it Twitter. But
X, formerly known as Twitter.
yeah, yeah. I don't think I'll ever re-download it. I think, like you said, there's always something. So that these emotions, I think they're only worsening. And right now, X is just explicit videos and nonsense. That's all it is. It's garbage. X is the lowest form of social media now. Where I used to think Twitter was one of my favorite because it felt like a world discussion, but now it just feels like the world's toilet. So it sucks. As for like Reddit, because I do like to be part of like specific communities. I like to be involved in like gaming communities at least as much as I can. So
Yeah.
instead of going to my old account, I made a new account just for more specific things, just so I can
Mm-hmm.
kind of filter out what I see. That way I'm not seeing like a bunch of doom posting because I was on political stuff on Reddit, but it's like it's too much. Every single thing is like, here's what's going on, here's what's going on, and it's like I'd rather make a account specific towards something that I love rather than being exposed to a bunch of negativity all the time.
And that can be difficult even with with those communities that we try to engage with. You mentioned that I also deleted my Twitter. I'm sorry, X, formerly known as Twitter. I did. I don't have an Instagram or Facebook. There was Threads. Threads was a thing that happened that I
It's
never
still
interacted with.
going, but no
Yeah,
one, at least not that I know of, no
yeah, it
one
hasn't
really
taken
uses
off.
it.
I know Link, God rest his soul, was into Blue Sky before he was taken from us. But I'm not looking
Now
for
he's in
any.
the blue sky.
Yeah. Oh, maybe that's it was foreshadowing.
Fly high, Link,
Um,
fly high.
but I'm not really looking for a new platform. Like you said, Reddit, because I'm a big information junkie and like literally
Hmm.
junkie because I know it's a problem for me. So I've tried deleting the app from my phone. I'll still cheat and like open it in the browser, but it's a really terrible experience. So I don't stay engaged as long as I would. But I try to really keep it for when I'm at home so that I can be in the moment, you know. Even media consumption going outside of social media, but the television, the movies, the books that we read, even that can sometimes be overwhelming in this culture that we live in. Do you guys have anything to speak about on that?
Like toxicity?
It could be toxicity. It could also just be like keeping up with the Joneses, which I know we've touched about in the past, but
Yeah, I mean, I will say that like really quick going back to the social media part. I do think that since not being on X or anything like that, I think I'm pushed more towards actually interacting with my circle who I'd usually share that with and being in more contact like a rivals
yeah,
group chat or talking to you guys or just talking to friends about I'm actually talking to my immediate circle rather than just strangers on the internet.
Yeah.
Which
yeah,
I find has been really nice actually. Um, and they get their news from other places and they share it. And I think I'm really enjoying that aspect of it, communicating and talking more to actual people that that I enjoy talking to, interact with. Like some people might have different opinions, but at the end of the day, they're adults and not bots that are just like can be rational. And I think it's okay to have disagreements, but it's just like that's fine. Like I think that's great to be able to talk about things, to discuss things.
Dan?
I mean, let's see if he comes back. But yeah, I mean, I agree with what
I'm
he's
here.
saying. Just
Oh,
communicating
yeah, I
to the
feel it.
immediate circles is just way more rewarding because you're
Yeah.
building on your current relationships instead of dealing with, like he said, spam bots that are just like, no,
Yeah.
you're stupid, but it's just AI bot.
Yeah, it's not even a person, right? Because sometimes even if you don't engage in the discourse with the artificial intelligence, you're observing conversations that may or may not be real at all.
Which is
So
crazy to
it,
think about. We live in a time where you might try to have a conversation with someone online and it genuinely just might be
a computer program.
yeah, a program with an opinion
It,
for some reason.
it
Tell Nick
feels
to
like we
sit
live.
down.
Yeah. Say it again.
Tell Nick to sit down.
Oh, our producer Nick just randomly getting up in the middle of the show. So it feels like we're living in the age of a product of like science fiction sometimes, and it's funny because we're old enough, whether we're in our 20s, 30s, or 40s, like me, to remember the times where this world was like a dream of some artist's depiction of what the future would look like. But it's even harder for the generations that are growing up in the midst of it. Like, what is the fantasies that they're going to create about the
I
scary
know.
things in the future? Because they're literally living the nightmares of like dozens of generations before them.
And like that's
Yeah.
their reality now. Like that's their norm, you know? Just so interesting to think about.
I feel like I'm right on the edge of that because I mean I'm the youngest one here, so I'm right closer to that generation. But even I remember clearly times that were way different than this. It's just crazy how fast things have changed, and you see these like I would say like 11 to 15-year-olds growing on TikTok, and that's their like subculture and where they're growing up, and it's dangerous. And I don't know, you see some of the stuff that they're exposed to because it's not really as moderated, and it's a scary, dangerous place. It sucks. It's sad.
Yeah. It felt like the internet was unmoderated when we were growing up, and the the things that are out there now and so easily accessible are tenfold, I think, easier. And not only just easier, but it's just the norm. Like
Yeah.
it's just second nature to seek out those things. The last topic for today was the media spiral, and I think Gabe, you touched upon this last week when you talked about losing yourself in Marvel Rivals. But and then the positive side of that is like connecting with your friends and having something, you know, to work towards together or to share in conversation. Sometimes I think when we let our personal hardships or professional challenges, like we talked about last week, or political division, just conflict within our culture, get to us, we're bogged down, we're tired, we're emotionally exhausted, we're mentally and physically. It's really easy to kind of placate those feelings with media, like the binge, just the hours long playthroughs. Well, what are some ways that some media can facilitate us spiraling even further, and what are some ways that they can help us to inspire and move on?
To kind of piggyback off of the Rivals thing, I think Rivals a great game, and when we were going through kind of rough times, we put a lot of time into energy into Rivals. But what I've noticed over the years is that these competitive games are becoming a lot more toxic. People are intentionally throwing games more than usual. People are intentionally.
That's not me, by the way. I just suck.
Well, yeah, but we're talking about ranked here because that's what we were putting our time into.
That's true, which I avoid.
So yeah, people just kind of being more of a troll. So just
That's so
bringing
funny.
more
You're like a diamond
negativity.
rank, though.
Yeah, it's people in high ranks that you would expect. Because Gabriel and I, we're working people. We want to take the game seriously. We have a limited amount of time to play, especially during that time where we were really putting our energy into it. So it's just weird to see people make an effort to waste someone else's time. Not just the our team, but the entire lobby suffers from one person just throwing the match. So it's just like that negativity is not only more prevalent in like social media, but games that are more social, like competitive games. So it's really sad to see as well. Kind of ruined the whole rivals competitive scene for me because, again, I don't want to waste my time. I've got limited time. I'm a working adult. I don't get on just to kind of waste 20 minutes and screw around. I mean,
Yeah,
it just sucks to see.
the thing is too, it's just, I think specifically with the rivals thing, putting all my time into it, my energy, my effort, but that also included, I think, my frustration with life, and my frustration, my anger, my sadness. It was what I was putting my time into. I wasn't doing any. A great way to connect is a great way to have fun, but I don't think there was a balance. These, as an adult, as a human being, to myself, you know.
Yeah, it's
Staying in the
easy to
house,
try.
running. Yeah,
Sorry, it's easy to try
you're
to
good.
escape one problem and find yourself in the midst of another one.
And it's not even just rivals. I have found that like there are moments when I go through tough times and things like that that I, like you said, the rivals.
Yeah,
It'll
that's a
be watching movies all day where it's just like I have things to do, but I'm just gonna sit here and watch this movie series, And I think these things they can be good things, but I think there needs to be a balance because when you're overcommitting to one thing, then it's gonna disrupt other areas of your life, and then at that point, it's no good. Um, and I think with the rivals thing, like Danny was saying, it's such a team-based activity that I don't care if you suck. I don't care, if we lose if everyone's doing something. Well, I mean, I would text in the chat is just like I would see the pride of humanity in these games, and it was disheartening. People being so selfish, people having so much ego, in picking characters like that had no basis being picked based on the composition of the team, and then going out of their way to write their um
I'm sorry to write there. I think we're losing Gabe there a little bit. If you can hear us, I'm just gonna touch
am I
on that
back?
point really. Yeah, you're back now. Well, yeah, you
Okay.
are. Go ahead.
It
Go
was
ahead.
just
You,
that
to
last
right
part. It was
there.
just the lack
y-
of, yeah, the lack of
That's the lesson.
consideration. The lack of consideration, and to me, that is so frustrating. Even like not even in the game. I think just in general, that's one of my biggest gripes. Like with people, I think if you're not considerate, that to me boils my blood. And when I see that into something that I like to do or like I'm investing my time in coming from other people where it's costing me, that frustrates me. And I was getting probably too mad. I was getting too upset and it was making me like it was pissing me off and it was taking away from like I love doing this. I love playing. I love like talking to Danny's the one that I think I've connected with the most from playing. We both share the same frustrations and things like that. And it's like it was nice to not to have someone there with me in the struggle. But at the same time, like Danny was saying, like we're working people. We have things to do, and I don't want to feel like I'm spending my time. I can deal with if I play bad or if like someone else plays bad. If you're trying, that's the only thing I care about. If you try and we lose, I'm good with that. I'm like I don't want to lose. I'm here to win. But it gets frustrating. But yeah, you were gonna say something, George?
Yeah, well, yeah, you mentioned the chat, and I understand that's a part of gaming now, but I think chat was a mistake in all gaming. Uh, but the other part of it was, and sometimes we're not aware of how these experience, whether it's watching TV or or gaming, affects us. For example, I made bad decisions. I ate bad food last night, so I wasn't feeling well. But I went on to play my dailies, right? Because I medicate a lot with video games. It's like I'm too tired to do anything. I'm just gonna play mindlessly for a couple of minutes, right? But then when I went on to do my dailies, I'm like being eliminated while I'm in the middle of a task, and I'm like, oh, and then I feel it in my gut, like, oh, that hurt, and I am tensing up. I am being stressed. Sometimes we don't realize it, because like you said, we want to win, and we think even if we can extract ourselves from that to be like, that's just a game. Part of us is still like, disappointment, guilt. I feel I messed up. I just thought that was an interesting experience that I found myself in just recently.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so how can we use this media to inspire us? Instead, we talked about the doom and the gloom, and maybe this episode's a doom scroll in action. But we understand that computers are taking over our lives and bankrupting us and making us socially awkward and emotionally stunting our growth. But how can we pivot the opportunities that we have to help us grow, mature, and move forward?
Did you ask me something?
Yes, I did. I'll go ahead and answer my
Sorry,
own.
it's just
It's okay. So I think that we have the opportunity here to focus on the why of what we do it. He's gone. He's gone,
I
man.
heard it.
Gabe,
I heard why.
we're not hearing anything you're saying, Gabe. So we're gonna wrap this real quick, and I'm gonna put a button on it. He's still talking. I can't wait to hear back this episode. So go ahead, Dad.
I mean, yeah, I can kind of piggyback off of that question, but
Hit it.
like you mentioned, like the way media can like inspire us and kind of curious too.
Yes.
Kind of one example that I found of this in my life that I didn't even realize until recently. We were putting a lot of energy into Marvel Rivals competitive game. It's usually my go-to, what I love. But later, towards the same time of me kind of finally getting my crap together and coming out of this wave of depression, I started playing Monster Hunter. And it was so refreshing to play a game by myself. I just like it finally felt a little bit more relaxing. Like I wasn't as stressed. Like you said, I had that gut feeling. Even though it's just a game, those losses, they add up. And sometimes they feel like a loss in real life. But at least with Monster Hunter, I can kind of feel like the hero, take those wins. And it kind of even helped me carry it into, like, back into real life. I was taking those wins with me. I felt like a little bit more successful in that time that I'm playing, and that stuff adds up, and suddenly it wasn't doom and gloom.
That sounds stupid, but it's like when I'm on fire, like unlocking stuff in the game or progressing in the story, like I go to work and I'm like, what completion am I gonna get today?
Exactly.
Here,
Yeah.
I'm like, what, 10 tasks? Can I do 7 of them by the end of the day? I'm checklisting off, and then I feel good. I'm like, I'm a good worker. I'm a good gamer. I'm a good, and also contextualizing that for yourself. Like, what are your goals? Because we've talked a little bit about it, I think, throughout, maybe more than a little bit throughout the years, about how I play competitive gaming weirdly. Like, I'm a very challenge based. I don't care about winning or losses, or at least I try not to. I have goals, those dailies, those weeklies, unlocking that battle pass. And like, because I know that I'm not good or don't have the time, so I need to make new goals for myself to enjoy. And sometimes it can feel like a chore where like that's why I'm there, just to do it, and I don't even really want to play. But then when I'm done for the day, sometimes I'm like, one more, because I actually enjoy this. And I think work is the same way. Our responsibilities at home can be the same way. Like, I don't like to do the dishes, but I made it part of my checklist and my routine too, that now I can't see the dishes in the sink. I'm like, that's incomplete. Like, I need today's daily marked off of my agenda. And it's just something I'm going to have to do tomorrow. Let me get my peace of mind before I sit on that couch. I got to get these in the washer or on the shelf. And that crosses through like all
Meaningful
aspects of
change.
your life.
I think before I get rudely interrupted by Texas again, um, I missed most of your question, but mainly with media, I think like in throughout my life, when I've gone through difficult times, I've noticed a pattern where there's a combination of interactions of people that are in my life that, you know, reach out or communicate, and I have like a meaningful, you know, dialogue with them. Family, obviously, friends, um, things in my life professionally, whether it's school or career, like different aspects of my life. Like if things aren't going well, they eventually, they turn the corner and we get back on track. But one thing I've noticed that is particularly powerful was the power of media, of particularly I think it's been film. Recent I think it's probably more television, and there's a specific example I think this most recent time with obviously the beginning of the year and just taking a lot. It was a lot, like we mentioned before. First coming here to Texas was difficult. It was challenging, mentally and just all around, I think. But one of the things that I strangely enough noticed was that I started rewatching Daredevil, the Netflix, well, Disney show now, but it was the Netflix show that was made for Netflix. In order to get ready for the new Disney Plus show, and I've watched that show. I've watched that show probably like once a year, and just rewatching it from a different perspective, from a different point of view, um, especially when you're going through difficult times. And yeah, it sounds silly that it's like, oh, like this has such an impact on you, and I'm like, it's art, man. Everyone connects to art in a different way, and to me, like I felt inspired, by a character that went through so much, especially that third season. That third season, you have a character that's broken, and it's basically the entire season is, him fighting with who he is and who he thinks he needs to be, and just the pain and the suffering and the loss and just so many things going on. And there are many more connections. I think we will talk about it in another episode, but that's just an example of just I saw a lot of similarities in different things. I'm not a crime fighter. I'm not a vigilante or anything like that, or a
Yeah, you have to
lawyer,
say that for legal
or
reasons.
or blind. Um, but I think what makes art good is that it can imitate life, and there are connections that you can see when it's not necessarily specific, one to one similarities, but it's just the essence of being human and the challenges that we all face, the varying levels of severity. And I saw certain things in that I was going through personally in my own life, and it helped me. It gave me, hope. It gave me a chance to feel, okay, this person can do it, and seeing how he do it. And it's just like you see those rousing stories of the hero overcoming, turmoil and trouble, and it's like one of the biggest enemies that he was facing in that season was himself and his doubt, and he was lost his faith. And I think, coming back to that as an individual, trying to um, find the good in things again when things have gone so poorly, things have gone so terribly, and things have just not gone your way, and just realizing that sometimes you have to endure because, the sun will shine on you again. It's going to come. Like, these things have seasons, and it was a period of darkness, but, I think light is always around the corner, and you just have to hold on and endure it. And I think that's what, I mean, half of what I just said are like lines from movies or TV. And it's just like, that's built up my lexicon, but it's just like, it makes me feel better. It enlightens me. it gives me hope, like I said before. But that to me is like why those things are so important. And you know, with the state of the world, things are turning to crap. Um, and it's just I'd rather be like a positive what's the word I'm looking for?
Force.
A positive force, you know, a force for good rather than, you know, adding into the negativity, toxicity that you see online, on Twitter, on Rivals, on anything, you know, in person, you know, in the discourse of people. I'd rather be a positive force than just be, you know, just a loser and just someone that tries to bring other people down because that's not going to help. And that's not considered, and that's not the type of person that I am or that I want to be. No matter how much crap I get put through, it's just I never want to, you know, make that try to bring someone else down to my level because I don't want anyone else to feel that way, you know? And I think that's the point, that's the thing that connects me to Rivals. We're trying to work together, you know, to achieve a common goal. That's what you see in movies, that's what you see. That's just I don't know. I'll
Yeah.
get off my soapbox now.
Sounds like you know. You mentioned enduring, and we shall endure. Whatever it is that MacGuffin is in your life, ladies and gentlemen, listening at home or in your car or wherever you might be, we hope that you continue to find it and that you don't become static thinking that you've already solved the problem. Escape the circle chase and find a new path of enlightenment as we continue to explore in the weeks to come on this season of Searching for MacGuffin.